Hi, my name is Madhureeta Anand and I'm the director of Kajarya and you're watching Bollywood Hungama. The thing is that it's very hard to be a woman and live in India and not think about this issue. The only thing is, of course, that you think about it but you don't end up doing anything about it. In my case, I read an article in a newspaper where a journalist was interviewing a dai. You know, they have these midwives who help give birth to children. And she was one of those women, and the line of questioning was very insensitive. So this lady was, the journalist was asking her, how does it feel to kill baby girls? And she just answered, well, very bad, not good, Yeah. So, but in the end, in this horrible question answer, this Dai said something that really stuck with me, and that's become kind of the basis of the film. She said, I'm just the hangman. Somebody else sentenced these girls. The thing that struck me about this report was they had actually mentioned the name of this Dai. So I thought to myself, now tomorrow the cops will come, haul her off and put her in jail for this horrible crime, while the village that is actually responsible will just stand and watch. This journalist has become famous because she got a Dai who kills baby girls. But what happened to her? And so I wrote this story about these three characters, one who lives in the village, one who lives in the city, and this hangman. And to me, it's like a kind of example of the hypocrisy that we have. So, wahan pe ho raha hai, it has nothing to do with me. The film is essentially about this sort of hypocrisy and this divide between urban and rural. You make a film and you don't know its potential, actually. I mean, you dream it, you imagine it, but you don't know it. And so when you make it and you put it out there, that's when something starts to happen. You get a feedback. So it started at Dubai International Film Festival. We premiered there, and it was such a fantastic response. I was overwhelmed. I was not expecting that, and since then the journey has been really great. I think what happens basically is people come in expecting an intellectual film, but they get emotionally drawn in. And I think that's the kind of, it's my film, so I shouldn't talk about it like that, but that sort of seems to be the plus point. That's what people tell me. So, and that's why we've been winning these accolades, and that's why people have been supporting us so vehemently. Promos, everybody loved it, just loved it. Even I loved it. When I saw the promo first, the person who cut the promo, I said, because we tried to cut many promos, but Aditya Warrior, who actually cut it in the end, I told him, see, there are very few people who actually make a promo which is like the film and is evocative. Either they try to fool the audience, or they make it too much like the film. But this is such a good mix because this is exactly how the film is. The entire tempo of the trailer is the film. The film is like this. It moves at this pace, So, of course, great response. Normal public, because now it's in theatres. Yeah, I have some friends who were in the theatre and, they heard responses there, so it's captivating, I guess. So it's been very good. Now I hope that they follow that feeling up and buy the ticket, Actually, we shot Kajarya before Dil Dhadakne Do. So she shot our film first. Of course, after seeing Dil Dhadakne Do, you wouldn't cast her as Meera. Yeah. No, I didn't do that. I cast her when she was completely new, for the reason that she has to play a small town girl who has this kind of raw ambition. And I felt Ridhima as a person had that. And so I thought that that's something that I can use as material for the film. Plus, I needed somebody who looks in contrast to Kajarya, because Kajarya has a very solid, very kind of, and I needed somebody who's slightly, thin and, so physically also she met the part. So I actually cast her before Dil Dhadakne Do. I just want to start by saying that I was a bit misquoted on this. Okay. The thing is that I think that what I started by saying was that the My Choice video by Deepika Padukone is a very good positive move, because anything that comes into the space which is pro-women, we encourage. Yeah. But it's understanding, it's communication, the entire video is geared towards an urban population. Yeah. And not even just urban, but a slightly more emancipated audience. Okay. Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's not something that's really like a white-based thing. You see, the thing is that while we talk about women's issues, we rarely talk about men as part of those issues. And I find that very strange, and I find that very wrong. Because the thing is, frankly, when we're talking about women's issues, we're talking about human issues.
Yeah.
And this is what Mud does. And I admire them for that, because we need a dialogue on masculinity as much as on feminism. And I think the time has come also for men to participate in this, because this is not something that's serving either party. I feel like at one level, of course, feminism has been great, okay? But we as women are now aware, mostly, even the most, unempowered woman knows when wrong is being done to her. But men are not even aware that this whole system is doing wrong to them. I mean, for example, wherever you look, there are these sexualized images of women which are used to manipulate men, because men have been convinced of the idea that their sexuality is not within their own control. It's a very wrong idea. They're being manipulated every second. And so it's like presuming a stupidity of a sex and saying, I know you're a man, I know you're stupid, I know you'll buy this because there's a naked woman. It's insulting. And so men have to get up and say, no, I'll define my own sexuality, thank you. The day I want, I look at a woman the way I want to. That freedom has to be given to them as much as to women. And Mud is constantly working with these issues. They are sympathetic to the issues of women. And our film industry really needs beacons of that, especially men. We get support from women without thinking about it, it just comes. But to get support from men, emancipated, empowered men, it's a pleasure and an honor for us. So it's essentially, you see, what happens is that there's a woman in the village, and she has a kind of like a weird place in the village where she acts, she has a kind of religious come this other side where she kills baby girls. When we meet her in the film, because now we have ultrasound machines, so she has just been being Kali, she has not killed a child for a long time. And because she's from the world of death, she stays on the outskirts of the village where the hangman lives. So she's some high caste girl who's been thrown there. And the only way for her to cope with her guilt is to drink lots of alcohol and eat lots of opium. So she's a drug addict.
Okay.
So in this situation, when we meet her for the first time in the film, somebody after a long time hands her a child. And this kind of like the short fuse blows in her brain. So on the one side, Kajarya's fuse is blown. And just like all dramatic events in the world happen when something has to change, some catalyst. And there's a silly kind of shallow journalist, who she has no intention of doing anything real in her life. She's sent to this village to do some story, and she goes against her wishes. And she arrives and literally meets the story. But now when she has the story, she decides to reposition it to benefit herself. And the fallout of that karmic decision, where you go 1 minute, you go this way or that way, and you take this way, she takes that way, and what it does to both their lives, to the Meera character and the Kajarya character. And in a sense, the choice that Meera makes is a choice Kajarya made many years ago.
Yeah, okay.
There's that split second where she could have said no, and she didn't.
But she didn't.
It's that minute, that So this is a film about circumstances, which is why, I just showed the film in Chennai, and Ali, who's Khushbu, the actress's brother, he was watching the film and then he was crying, Now it's about women.
Yeah.
A man shouldn't cry, but because they understand everybody in their lives has at some point either been faced with a decision which is hard or made a decision which was wrong. So this is what the film is really about. No, because the thing is, the female feticide or sex selection is just the takeoff point of this film.
Okay.
What I'm doing actually with the audience, which is why I think it's had the success it's had, is I'm creating the world in which women live. Okay. So when you watch the film, you get like a walk through of that world, which is like a thriller. We don't feel safe. Mm-hmm. We don't, as women.
Yeah.
We don't feel safe, we don't feel protected, and my characters don't feel that either. And nor does, the whole film is like that. So this is just the base of it. I think every single film, no matter if it's on sex selection or if it's tamasha or it's anything, is risky today. Yeah. You've got to make the film that you want to make and love it. Otherwise, to spend so many years with something just because it's not risky, it's not worth it. We've been really fortunate on this. I don't know, we've got some blessing on us or something, because we went to the censor just before this new censor board came in.
Okay.
And this is a very interesting story, and I'm glad you asked, because they called me from Delhi and they said, look, the censors are seeing your film, you better come, because surely they're going to ask for cuts. And this was before Pehlaj Nilani's regime, So I came and waited, and then the film got over and I went into the hall and the women were crying and the men said, "Hamare to rongte khade ho gaye." And so I said, okay. And then next, and this man said, "Ab ek bhi cut nahi karna."
Wow.
This was his word to me. So of course he said, we're giving you an A certification because the content is A, but आप एक भी चीज़ नहीं काटना. So I as a filmmaker got greedy and I said, अच्छा मेरे को अगर UA चाहिए तो क्या कर सकते हैं? So I have for the first time heard somebody from the censor board saying, नहीं अगर आप गाली हटा देंगे तो क्या होगा आप बताइए, लगेगा कि कजरिया है, नहीं आप प्लीज़ मत हटाइए, ऐसा मुझे टीवी पे तो डालना है ना, ये सब फिर आप आके दूसरी फिल्म दिखाना. Like they were so satisfied with what they saw. They just said, make the smoking kills thing more prominent. I would have 5 minutes of the film left. I would be showing a short film in the cinemas, I think. The thing is that shooting this film was very hard because we were shooting in real locations. And it was my kind of crazy decision because we didn't build any sets. So we were constantly in that space. And we couldn't, have big vanity vans and all because we would have scared people off, we would have spoiled the space. So we came in a small crew. I can say this with complete confidence that had my entire crew and cast not been so well aligned and so loving, we would never have got through this. There were no raised voices. There was never a loss of patience. Everybody worked together so sweetly, no matter how hard it was, and that's why we got it done the way we got it done. But I remember that there's a very difficult scene in the film where the Banwari, there's a violent act he commits on Kajarya. So we were prepping for that scene, and I just remember Banwari kind of every time he had to pretend hit her. He was not, of course, really hitting her, or pretend be angry towards her. It would affect her because, obviously somebody is being so violent. And the shot would get over and he would immediately hold her and say, sorry, sorry, sorry. And she said, after a point, she said, please stop saying sorry because this is spoiling my mood. I have to hate you. But he just couldn't do it. Every time he did it, he'd just be like, I'm so sorry. So I just remember thinking that I'm probably making a film about awful men with lots of very nice men, That's the thought that went through my mind. I've got all these really nice guys and I'm converting them into horrors. Yeah, we've got Mohabbat Ki Jhooti, we've got a remix of a Haryanvi song, and we have one really nice credit roll song which is a ghazal. So we've got 3 very wonderful songs. The ghazal is sung by an artist from Calcutta. He's not very famous.
Okay.
And the Haryanvi song is the Ragini is very famous in Haryana. Yeah. So it's remixed for the nightclub.